welcome to episode 10 of Off the Fields. Today on episode 10, we'll be talking about sports and society, all the way from Magic Johnson's new billionaire status to athlete accountability. So, let's go ahead and get started. Let's get Paris on here. He's going to be joining us here shortly. Let's see. A lot of interesting things going on in the sports world. I mean, we're talking about Deion Sanders, of course. You know, we're talking about actually today's Colin Kaepernick's happy birthday, 36th birthday. So that's exciting. He has some new collaborations that are going on. And of course, we're going to be talking about Grant Hill and Tamia, their sports ownership deal that they have in Orlando. And we're also going to be talking about Mikey Williams. Let's get Paris on here. There is Paris. So thank you guys for tuning in to episode 10. Paris, of course, we always love having Paris because he's given us the best aspect as a male athlete, especially being a Black male athlete coming from the Ohio State University. So, today on the episode, we're going to be talking about Black ownership. Starting off, Magic Johnson being announced a billionaire. He's joining Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, and LeBron. So, congrats to Magic Johnson because Magic Johnson is a legend in the NBA, in the basketball world, and as a Hall of Famer, and also as an advocate for AIDS, world AIDS and stuff like that. It's crucial to see him make these types of strides, despite all of the health issues he's had. Dealing with HIV and AIDS, and the thing is this, like, it's such a momentous moment because like he overcame so much when it comes to his health, when it comes to stigmas, when it comes to marriage, when it comes to dealing with sexuality because of his child. Like, he's gone through so much in the sports world. So for him to become a billionaire, what do you think this means, Paris? Because, like, of course we have Tiger Woods, we have LeBron, we have Michael Jordan, but Magic Johnson.
I think that one, it shows us that the possibility is endless. And I think that with Magic Johnson, it's something that's a little special. And I say that because when we see LeBron James, we understand that LeBron James is living in a whole different time than what Magic Johnson was living in. So I expect that when you are a retired athlete today, it's kind of hard because all of what you built is the pedestal that the current athletes today stand on. They have social media back in the day,
Right.
So it wasn't like Magic Johnson was really able to carry a whole audience, simply by his social media following, like the LeBron James,
Right,
Stephen Curry's can do today. Social media again, it didn't exist. And knowing the generation that is coming up today in basketball and in sports and in the world, I'm not even sure if they even really know who Magic Johnson is. All of what he's done, his career. I don't think they know. So I think that not only I think it shows the power of Magic Johnson keeping himself relevant, and I say that with the respect of not saying that anything that he has done in the past or his career is a thing of the past, because it isn't. But I believe that the steps that he's making, the steps that he has done to be the billionaire that he is today, it solidifies that he is timeless, that he is someone that can grow with the generations.
Yeah.
And just like music artists, who's able to make music, that surpasses the generation. Well, he's a person, a human, a being. He is music, that can surpass the generation. So I think that's the special thing about Magic Johnson being a billionaire, and that is a huge accomplishment.
Right? It is. I mean, he's 64 years old. he excuse me, he owns two stakes in a trio of LA sports, right? We know him playing for the Lakers, legend, but he also has ownership in the Los Angeles Sparks, you know what I'm saying? And in baseball, Los Angeles Dodgers. So like, I think that when you make it to Forbes, there's just like this huge, I don't know, it makes it just like so much more official that you've been making these huge strides. And then being Black, it just adds to the list of Black excellence, right? Diverse representation, right? And so now his net worth is like 1.2 billion. But it's not that, it wasn't sports. That's not where all of his wealth is. It's basically 60% a 60% stake in a life insurance company based out of Iowa. So, and he did this back in 2015, you know, and it's like, wow, they were thinking about this back then. And like some of us are just getting hip to like the investments and stuff like that now. So it just lets you know that like he knew what he was doing with his money when he got millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? All the endorsement deals and things of that nature. And I just wish more and more younger athletes would continue to do that, right? Especially when they get these huge contracts. I mean, like, I know we're talking about the NBA, but look at like certain contracts in the NFL, like Deshaun Watson, you know, these huge, huge contracts, you know what I'm saying? And then like somebody like Magic Johnson, like he's actually delivering with his performance. And then like somebody like Deshaun Watson, he's not delivering with his performance, but he had one of the highest paid contracts like before the season even started. And everybody was like, what? Like, you know, but like back then, just imagine what they would have done with a huge contract like that. You know what I'm saying? It just goes to show you that like the different generations and the work ethic is just a little bit different still when it comes to like knowing what to do with their money when it comes to investments and things of that nature and talking about longevity. So I'm super excited that Magic Johnson is now a billionaire. I hope that another athlete makes it to that point next year because he's only the fourth one. You know what I'm saying? So four is just not enough, and we need to see more of that. And I think that we'll actually see like younger
Yeah.
athletes. I think their chances are very high now to quickly to become a billionaire. Not quickly, but it's there because they
It's
have
a
access
lot
to different
more,
resources.
exactly. The accessibility is a lot more easier compared to, you know, the Michael Jordans and the Magic Johnsons, you know, and the ballers during that era. So it's a lot more accessible.
Yeah.
You know, everything is money today.
Yeah.
It's profitable. And your name, your likeness, your image, it weighs so much in today's world than it did, you know, just a couple years ago. And so again, we're really living in the golden age where when you know your worth,
Mm-hmm.
you will get paid your worth.
Yeah.
And you know, in this case, it shows. It shows that it's a huge accomplishment. And I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't even know Magic was balling like that. I
Right.
didn't even know he even had money like that, but he does. So again,
Yeah.
when you're smart with your money, you know your worth. This is what happens.
Right. And I mean, somebody else who's a part of that era with Magic Johnson is Grant Hill. So, I mean, Tamia, and so not only have Magic Johnson and his wife, Cookie, you know, they've been together for years, a successfully married couple who made it through the fire of being in the NBA. We know what comes with that, right? So, Tamia and Grant Hill is another example. What I'm so excited about Tamia and Grant Hill because I didn't know their love for soccer ran so deep to the point where they're now part owners of the Orlando City Soccer Club here in Orlando, Florida. And so for me, it's really refreshing because their daughters are the ones who kind of influenced them to take this stake and take this opportunity and this partnership, you know, with Orlando City Soccer Club. And I found out that they're also like they've been long-term season ticket holders for the games, and that in Orlando. Their daughters also play soccer in Orlando, and we know Grant Hill gave 19 seasons to the NBA. And so for me, Tamia, um, you know, she is a Grammy award-winning R&B artist.
Officially missing you.
I know, right?
I love that song.
I
Sorry.
love Tamia. Always have. Loved how she's always carried herself on and off. On camera, behind the camera. And then with Grant Hill, like, same thing with him, right? Never really heard too much about scuffle and buffle about Grant Hill. And to me, he seems, him and Magic, like the ultimate types of gentlemen, you know what I'm saying? Businessman, everything that you kind of may have wanted in a husband when it comes to knowing what to do with millions of dollars. You know what I'm saying? Um, so they've been in Orlando for many years, and the thing is this: when it came to Grant Hill doing tapping into soccer, he's already also tapped into the NBA. Obviously, he's part owner of the Atlanta Hawks, but he's also invested in like large scale real estate. And yeah, he played 19 years in the NBA. So it's just like, of course, they have these foundations. Of course, they have these other businesses. I mean, how have they been able to keep things going? But when you tap into another sport like the National Women's Soccer League, I think that says a lot about them supporting women's sports. I think that also piggybacks off of him having, daughters, you know what I'm saying, supportive of them being athletes in their sport that they chose to play. And so it's really exciting to see that they're supportive of women's sports, and that they're going to be making decisions and having say-sos when it comes to the Orlando City Soccer Club, and not just the Orlando City Soccer Club. They are also part owners of the Orlando Pride team that's a part of the National Women's Soccer League. So that's two entities there, and that's what we need to see more of, Black ownership. And we're seeing it happening, right? We're seeing it, but I think that it's very exciting to know that it's Tamia and Grant Hill, because everybody knows Tamia, for her music, but she's also been married to Grant Hill for many years, and it's been a successful marriage. Even though, he's an NBA player, we know the stigmas that kind of come with that. But for the sake of it being Tamia and Grant Hill, it's just a huge congratulations. And it's Black love. Like, who's not all for that? To see that they're able to do the Black love, and, to have the business and be investors and being part of their daughter's journey in the sports world, especially the sports world of soccer, right? So let's see here. Just waiting for Paris to get back on. But it's just so exciting, the fact that they've been in Orlando for so many years, and now they're finally having the opportunity to really show the fruits of their labor in the community by becoming part owners of the Orlando City Soccer Club. So super excited for them. The other thing we wanted to talk about is the fact that it's Colin Kaepernick's 36th birthday. So Colin Kaepernick actually just, yes, he did start investing his coins early. He did. And Magic is always, I remember when he did the movie theaters too. He's always been he's always been very smart with his money. And remember when he did the the movie theaters, everybody was going to the movie theaters, and it was a magical experience. So it's very important for us to continue to talk about Black ownership, continue to celebrate and highlight athletes like Magic Johnson, like Grant Hill, even though they're in a different era and things have changed. But these are the pioneers, and these are the people who paved the way for the younger basketball players that are out there now. And so, but what I wanted to talk about with Colin Kaepernick is that it's his 36th birthday, and he's not been able to get back into the NFL. We know that, right? But it's like so weird when you Google his name now. He's now known as like a civil activist, right? And I can say that title matches. I don't know what you guys think, if Colin Kaepernick could just be considered that alone, but he just dropped a new collaboration with Nike. But the artist, her name is Joy Yamasaki, and the collaboration dropped just a couple days ago on October 27th. And with that being, it was with Nike. So Colin Kaepernick still has a way to be successful without playing on the field. And he continues to prove that time and time again. I think what a great way to celebrate his 36th birthday, even though I see that his true passion is to get back in the game. I think that, you know, going other avenues and doing other collaborations and endorsement deals that's what's going to work for him. He's already released things on Netflix, you know, and books, things of that nature. But I think that now that he's back collaborating with Nike and he's dropping these types of collections with other artists, Black artists, I think that's a good look for him. And it just goes to show that he's not going to change who he is just to start back playing football. He's still going to embrace his Blackness and help his community. And that's what I love about Colin Kaepernick. So happy birthday to Colin Kaepernick, because this birthday was special, I think, you know, facing all the adversity that he has. I think that these are things that we should continue to talk about and celebrate. Now, the other thing is this. So I meant to get into this last week, guys, but I didn't have time. So Deion Sanders, you know, he's requesting that the stolen jewelry be replaced by the NCAA or the Rose Bowl, which he's calling the granddaddy of them all, right? And he says granddaddy should give that money or reimburse his kids, right? He's referring to the football players. I mean, when it comes to the jewelry being stolen, I feel like with Colorado, they literally have a lot of, because of like the flashiness and them just, you know, having fun, and they've changed the college football landscape so much that they are a target. And I think that stealing the jewelry was definitely a targeted decision. The investigation is still going on, but what I can say is this. I can say that when it comes to him advocating for his students, his football players, I think that it's like no other. You understand? He's telling the NCAA to, you know what, you guys make a fuss about everything else. You do something about everything else, but why don't you do something about this? And I think that they should. I really think that they should. I don't think it should fall on the Rose Bowl just because that's where the location where it happened. But I think it should be the NCAA, because they do fine for so many other things that don't even coincide with something like this. You know what I'm saying? There's so much spotlight on the Colorado Buffs that, yeah, the chances are way more likely for something like this to happen. It's just that the way it happened during the Rose Bowl, them versus UCLA, and they ended up losing as well. So it just doesn't help the situation. It's not a good look for the Rose Bowl in a way, because that actually happened there. But I'm all for Deion Sanders sticking up for his football players and, you know, trying to say that the NCAA, they do need to find a way to reimburse them some way, because you know why? These players they have NIL. You know what I'm saying? That's their money that they spent. And it was worth thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? And it just doesn't happen like that all the time. I don't think it has anything to do with them, you know, traveling with their jewelry to an away game. We've seen so many videos of Deion Sanders from back in the day and how he was like when it comes to pregame, and how flashy and flamboyant he was, how he loved the camera, loved the attention. And you see his jewelry all the time. And I don't think Deion Sanders can attest to say that his jewelry has ever been stolen during a football game. But I think that this happened in Colorado. I think it was targeted. And it possibly could be an inside job. You never know. I would hope nothing like that, but you never know. But the amount of hate that Deion Sanders and his team receives. And it's sad that it has to come to that, because there's a bigger picture there and what he's doing for these athletes, these young men. You know what I'm saying? And at the same time, I think the other take is that people may look at it at, well, you shouldn't have them spending their money on jewelry, and they shouldn't be carrying that jewelry. They shouldn't be flamboyant or flashy like that when it comes to their style and their personal prized possessions. But why not? I think that's all part of the football. I think people love that. It's entertainment. You know what I'm saying? And it just sucks that their stuff was stolen. I do think the NCAA, I think that they should do something about it, though. I completely agree with Dion. Let me know if you agree. Okay, if you agree, go ahead and type yes down there in the comments or raise your hand, because the NCAA, they fine for so many other things, but this was targeted. How could it not be targeted after everything that's been going on? It just makes perfect sense that it was targeted. So that's what I have to say about that. Now, when it comes to Mikey Wheeler, speaking of like crime, right? When it comes to Mikey Wheeler, ACC basketball player who will not be playing any longer because of gun-related charges. And so for me, this is a young kid, right? This is a young kid who's so young that, well, actually he's 18 and older, so he's aware of he's 18 and older, so he's aware of, like, right from wrong, obviously. But he's a freshman guard for the Memphis Tigers, and this happened back in April as far as the arrest with him with the gun charges. And so I think that when things happen like this with these young players, I think that there should be a program put in place. This is what I think should be part of the solution to helping athletes when things like this happen, when they make these types of mistakes at a certain age. Okay? So I'm talking about a program where they really learn about the consequences of what could happen when it comes to playtime and how it affects their academics, how it affects their chances of being drafted, all of that. I think that when players get in trouble, like Mikey Williams, they should have programs like this in place. It kind of takes me back to when Michael Irvin recently made a comment about his son being raised in a gated community. And when he made that comment saying that, oh, my son was raised in a gated community, like, what is all this rap stuff? Like, does it really make a difference where you're raised when it comes to, what your child takes part in as an athlete? Because some athletes have been raised in certain environments where that's what they're used to. You know what I'm saying? So some of these mistakes derive from that. And it's a subconscious thing. They don't really realize they're doing it. Now, some do, not saying that he didn't, but some of this has a lot to do with the environment that they're raised in. Not saying that he was surrounded by guns and violence, but could have been sheltered as well. You just never know. I think that in this case, a lot of people look to the parents and say that the parents dropped the ball, but at the same time, I think that Mikey Williams is an example of when there's Paris. Okay. I was just saying that Mikey Williams, basically that, he's 19 years old, freshman. And I think that when they make these types of mistakes, when it comes to criminal acts or gun charges, playing with guns and stuff, I think that the NBA and I think the NCAA, I think they need to implement some type of program where they're like giving firsthand experience. And I think that other older NBA players or football players or athletes need to come out and speak to students about this types of stuff. Like, this is what happened when I did it. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to lose this if you decide to do this. Like, I think I think there should be a program where they put it to them in a certain way like that, because I think it'll make a difference. I mean, we don't know. They're 19 going into like these huge colleges. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of pressure. Like.
First of all, girl, I lost. I got disconnected, but I'm back.
Yes.
hard, but my Jesus works harder. um, but no, I do believe, first and foremost, I do believe that the NCAA and a lot of college programs across the nation, which I do know many do have programs like this, but I do believe it would be very helpful for these young kids. I say it all the time. As a former student athlete, I didn't get to pick my teammates. I didn't get to decide who I wanted to be going into these competitions, winning championships with. I didn't have a say. I was put on a team with a bunch of different guys from different backgrounds, different religions, different sexualities, different races, and I'm made to be like a family with these people, with these strangers, for the next 4 or 5 years. So I say that with the respect of everyone is coming from all different type of backgrounds and walks of life.
Right.
And, one of the biggest things that teams try to do is create a culture in which they unify everyone, so everyone can kind of be on one accord. But in doing so, I think that programs like, what you mentioned that can, kind of help guide these young athletes, I think that they are vital. And they are extremely important, not only to the growth of the team and the individual in that sport, but to the individual in life. And I know last week we talked about the NBA and how Adam Silver said that, there were programs that they have, for these NBA players, who have difficult, walks of life. And this is where they need to really, really reinforce rules, regulations, and programs for these players, because again, as we said last week, these are the people that these young kids are looking up to. And when they replicate these things, many of them unfortunately don't have the access that these NBA players have to get themselves out of trouble. And so now the man Mikey is in a boatload of trouble. Only God knows if he will be able to rescue the extremely bright future that he has. And I won't get too deep into his upbringing or personal life, because I don't have the authority to do so. But what I will say is, especially for our Black men, many of the young men that we see today are a reflection of what they see. And it's important that even as a community that we really that we put on the floor the ideal image of the men and women that we want our young children to be. And it starts up at the top. And I absolutely, and I know I'm kind of ranting and kind of going off the side with this, but I have to say that I hate with the passion when we say things like, oh, and this is just an example. I'm not throwing any shade, but I've heard time again, oh, Beyonce doesn't raise your daughter, or Cardi B doesn't raise your daughter, or James shouldn't be responsible for raising your daughter. You're right. They don't raise them. They're not responsible for raising them. But you have to understand, it takes a village to raise a child. A child is with a school teacher longer in a day than they are with their parent. And although the parent is responsible for raising that child is under the care of a teacher longer in the day than they are with the parent. And don't let that kid, do extracurricular activities, because then it just simply means that they're under other people's care, aside from the parents, even longer. When I was in school, I was at school by 8:30. I got out at 2. I had gymnastics at 4:30. So after school, I would go straight to the gym, and I wouldn't be back home till 8 o'clock. So from 7 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, I was gone from home. My teachers, my coaches, my older teammates, they were heavily responsible for the influence that kind of guided and shifted the direction of where my life, went. And my parents instilled in me, the ultimate direction, that they hope for me to follow. But ultimately, there were so many other people, along that way, that had such influence. And I think this is where that camaraderie, that team building, the the influential people, the programs, this is where they can play a big part in these young kids' lives,
Yeah.
because they need guidance, but they need it by the right people. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the influential people, the celebrities, that are on TV, I'm not going to say that they don't have no influence, because they do,
Mm.
and they know they do. You know,
Yeah.
and I don't have biological children myself, but even as an acro dance instructor, as a gymnastics teacher, as an influencer, I have a responsibility that my actions will be followed by people that come after me. And while it might not be my intention for them to follow, inevitably it will happen.
Right.
Um, sorry, grace and thoughts. So I just, my heart goes out for him. I know that his father was a phenomenal basketball player who unfortunately went down a very similar path and couldn't play basketball in the way that he dreamt. But here he has a son who is a star basketball player himself, who is even more talented than his father, if I may say.
Yeah.
And is going down a path that is scarily so destructive.
Right.
And I'm not going to put the total blame on that young man, because I do understand that it takes a village to raise a child. I won't even put the full responsibility on his parents.
Right. Right.
Because ultimately no parent raises their kid, to do such a thing. But it happened.
Yeah, it did.
So what do we do from here? So
Right.
my heart,
Yeah, I definitely think that, I mean, he's a 4-star recruit. And they say that he was arrested on like multiple felony charges stemming from a shooting at his home in San Diego. He faces 5 charges of assault with a weapon and 1 count of firing into an occupied vehicle. So a program needs to be put in place. Of course, we already know mental health is important. You know what I'm saying? Ever since the pandemic, there's just been a surge of, an expansion of mental health and the importance of it, and, making sure the visibility is there. But you really have to have somebody behind the scenes that is a part of the NCAA who says we need to implement these types of programs to help students like Mikey Williams, because there are plenty of students who are just like him. You know what I'm saying? However, some students know when to turn it on and when to turn it off, and some students don't. But as a student, you're learning. It's a learning process. I think that, yeah, college is meant to prepare you for the real world, but sometimes as an athlete, your punishment is greater than your reward. And I think, with the Mikey Williams situation, I think that if he even were to mention, even to a judge, I think that the university or the NCAA should implement a program to help somebody like myself. I think that people would listen to something like that. It only just takes one to really make some noise about it. But I think something like that could really, lessen the amount of number of times that we hear about these types of incidents, especially, from college all the way to the NBA. And, I think, yeah, it all kind of comes full circle with what Michael Irvin said about, his son being raised in a gated community, and, you wasn't raised like that. So why are you choosing to be a rapper or whatnot, thinking about his music. Adam Silver and Charles Barkley making the comment, asking the question about domestic violence. What are we doing at the forefront of this to help? I mean, I just think that it's literally so obvious that this is the type of help that we want and that people are voicing in a way. Without directly saying it, I wish that it would just happen. But it also takes people like Charles Barkley, or, all the NBA, some of the NBA greats, the vets, the people who are, part of the big 3 league, to implement programs like this and to bring them into fruition, not just talking about it. So I think that with Mikey Williams, yeah, heart goes out to him. And, it's a tough mental process that he's going to be dealing with right now, and he's not going to be able to play either, and that can bring depression easily. When you're not able to play in the sport that you love, especially being at such a young age, it can definitely bring on depression. And then they don't even sometimes realize that they are depressed. You know what I'm saying? But this is one of those moments for sure, you know. Now, I did talk about Deion Sanders a little bit when it comes to the jewelry.
And
Like,
I thank you for going back to that because I did want to speak on that. I want to know what are your thoughts first because I think one way about this, and one, but I want to know what are your thoughts about this.
so I think that it was a targeted hit. Like, I think it was targeted because I think that they've been receiving so much hate. I mean, more so hate about, I mean, for me, it was how many times did ESPN post about, the watch? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like it was such overkill with the media, the social media exposure of it to the point where they got robbed. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it was targeted because somebody was like, you know what? I'm tired of seeing this. Y'all need to stop focusing on this and focus on the freaking game and start winning games. I feel like that was the motivation behind stealing their jewelry. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say that it could be an inside job, but you never know. But, it being at the Rose Bowl, I think Deion Sanders was right because he called this is like the granddaddy of them all, right? The Rose Bowl. Now, the city of Pasadena, like that, they own the Rose Bowl. And so that's who the police report was filed with the police department of Pasadena, and they're investigating it. UCLA, however, like, especially they lost that game as well. Colorado lost that game. And I just think that the loss was 28-16. The items that were stolen were like jewelry, personal items. The jewelry cost thousands of dollars. Come on, we seen it. Cash was also stolen. And yeah, I think that Deion Sanders asking the NCAA to reimburse the players for the items stolen, I think it's genius. I'm all for it just because the NCAA, they tend to fine for certain things that they want to fine for. And I think that Colorado, the way that they changed the football landscape, there's a huge target on their back. And I think for something like this to happen was unexpected, but I'm not surprised.
Interesting. So in terms of the actual theft, because you kind of tackled this 2 points. You tackled the theft, and then you tackled, Deion wanting the NCAA to reimburse. So speaking about those two different topics, the theft, um, I like, was it targeted? Like, I don't think the actual UCLA players are responsible for stealing. I
Okay.
think they came up with the game plan to steal their jewelry during the game.
No? Oh,
I'm
wow.
straight up from the gate. You know, you got to understand when you're actually there's a lot that goes on into a competition. Even as a former gymnast, when we were facing Illinois and Penn State and Michigan, training leading up to that, you don't have enough time to plot how you're gonna send your friends during this time go over. And you got to think this is a stadium. This isn't like a campus type of
That's
event.
true too.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's like even the access to getting it is different. I genuinely do believe that if someone did go in and steal it, I think they did it for themselves. Like I think the people who stole Colorado stuff did it for them. I don't think they did it for like the Bruins football team. I don't think they brought the stuff back to the football players and was like, here, you can have it.
Right.
Whoever stole that stuff stole it for their pockets. I don't think they stole it for a different reason.
No.
You also got to realize workers are also allowed to go in these venues. Respectfully, some of these stadium venue workers are not, they're not, they're regular people. Sometimes they're students.
Right.
Sometimes
That's true.
they're legit sophomore and junior college students. And let's be honest, if a college student sees a fancy, yes, they're taking it.
Right.
Yes, they're taking it.
Right.
You
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot that goes into that. I don't think that, I don't think UCLA try to target Colorado. I don't
Okay.
really try to steal their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I mean, obviously, someone from the university or someone from the campus or someone, in relation to,
Right.
the UCLA, someone stole it. But I don't think, I don't think the coach was like, go steal their stuff.
Yeah.
Not, you know, not
Right.
not 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 when you got an actual game. Like, at the end of the day, these teams are trying to win.
Right.
Like Colorado might not even be bowl eligible. So it gets to, we're at a time and point in the season where things are getting too serious, to be playing games like this. Maybe if this was Oregon, the
Right.
whole Hollywood speech, I would, I think of it that way. But I don't think that UCLA purposely try to steal their stuff.
And
Um,
yeah, I mean, it's really it's so classless. It's not classy. It's not a good look. I mean, it made it. I mean, to just do something to that level, go that low, steal jewelry. I mean, come on, like. And of course, we automatically think it's UCLA, targeting them. That's automatically what I thought. But you're so right. I mean, it definitely could be. I think it could also just be somebody who works in the stadium.
right,
You know what I'm saying? You never
right,
know because they have access. You know what
right,
I'm saying?
right.
And
There's
it's
a
not
lot.
like there's like a guard
Right,
in front of the locker room.
right. There's a lot of people that have access to stadiums than
Yeah.
just. And then you also got to think this is also the visiting side. This isn't like, so that's why I just don't think,
Yeah.
Rose Bowl. I've been to both sides. I don't think, and then it was during the game. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't even like during halftime. Like, baby, this was during the game.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and, and even when you watch the game, it wasn't a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
Um, UCLA versus Colorado. I mean, 28-16. That's not much of a blowout.
Yeah.
Maybe 42-16. Um, but it was, and you got to think it was a fourth quarter game because the Bruins were only up by like 5 going into the final quarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, with so much at stakes,
Right.
and UCLA can potentially still make a trip to the Pac-12.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Colorado, UCLA has a lot on the stakes. So I don't think they're really focused with this whole ceiling thing. But in terms of Dion wanting the NCAA to reimburse, I personally think that's like foolish. I think that's kind of donkey of the day vibes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just get it from the gate up. The only reason why I say that is because this is an NCAA. This is you need to make UCLA responsible.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make them responsible. It happened in your stadium. It happened on your campus. Now, if they refuse to, that's when the NCAA can step in. But I
Right.
think that this should be. I think, Deanne, you should attack UCLA, the school,
Right.
more.
Yeah.
I don't think that, like, it's not like UCLA saying we're not going to reimburse, and then you have to go to the NCAA and say, hey, this happened. This I think this is a UCLA problem first,
Mm-hmm.
more NCAA problem right now. I don't think. I mean, if anything, it gives UCLA a slap on the wrist because if the
Right.
NCAA just reimburse, well, how do you know that they're not going to do the same thing if USC comes? If that's going to be the case, shoot, still every week then.
Right.
If we don't got, if we don't got to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like when fans storm the field. Like, the schools are responsible. The schools have to pay a fine, for destroying their own stadiums and fields. So I do think it should be a NCAA thing. I mean, I do think it should be a school thing, and then possibly even a conference thing, similar to how the whole Michigan cheating.
Yeah.
Michigan,
Yeah.
you have the NCAA. They can't give any punishments to Michigan as of now. The only people who can is the conference. The conference itself can punish now. The NCAA will have to send the notice and will have up to 90 days for Michigan to respond. So they can't reinforce anything now. But the Big Ten Conference can, and Michigan can.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
And side note, the commissioner actually just met with the University of Michigan president today. They reportedly met today about Michigan's shooting scandal. So that's the whole latest shabab about that.
What?
So, I'm not, I don't mean to get too deep. The surprise, I have to mention this. I'm not sure if you know, but
I'm glad you did. No.
there was a Big Ten meeting a couple of days ago, I believe on Wednesday. Don't quote me, but if you Google me, I wrote about it, so there you go. I believe they met on Wednesday, one day this week, either way. The Big Ten coaches, without Jim Harbaugh, they met with the commissioner, and they reportedly, many were reportedly upset and frustrated and wanting the commissioner to reprimand and give some sort of punishment to Michigan. There's been reports about it, and following that meeting, now the commissioner is meeting with the president of the University of Michigan. Michigan athletic director also spoke out publicly, made a statement about Michigan, and I actually thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a decent statement. And then Purdue's coach today, or Thursday night, last night, he made a statement right ahead of their clash tomorrow with Michigan. So Michigan is in hot water, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're in a lot of hot water. I think that this is going to mess them up. Again, I keep saying this. This is really going to mentally mess with them when they're playing Ohio State, point blank period. I think this is Ryan Day's chance to go ahead and really give them a butt whooping. I mean, there's so much going on. Ohio State has the advantage right now, number one team in the country. And I think that with everything going on with Michigan, I think that Ohio State really should, in a way, not use their downfall as an advantage, but it's a mental game. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that they're mentally all that tough right now because they're in such hot water. There's just more and more evidence piling up against them. Jim Harbaugh, I'm going to stick to what I said on Monday, that, I think this is his downfall. I think he's on a slippery slope. And I think that it's going to be hard for him to get out of this. One, he's been at Michigan for so long. Two, he bleeds that team up north. He bleeds those colors. And I think that he's going to go to bat for them because he helped them win. He helped them finally beat Ohio State. Okay. And that's what he needed in his career.
So far.
And that's what he needed for the university and the program. And I think that he did that, obviously. But now it's almost in a way like it's all backfired. Like, oh, did you win did you cheat to win? You know what I'm saying? Everything is being questioned. His credibility is going to be questioned, and I think that now is the time for Ohio State to just keep the ball rolling. I mean, Ryan Day, we're seeing a different side of him this season too. You know what I'm saying? I think he's out for blood.
They can fix the quarterback issue. They definitely have a chance. I will say, if Ohio State does not fix the quarterback issue, you're going to see the same thing that we saw last year. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
I really don't want that to happen, though, because if Michigan beats us.
But I will say, though, especially last year, with this whole cheating scandal, it does make the win questionable. And consider Michigan win, they don't,
Yeah.
Just.
And I hope, I don't know how far the investigation is going to go back. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the sign stealing and stuff of that nature and cheating. But I just think that, of course it has to run across their mind if they're going to investigate that win. I don't think Connor was there yet, Connor Stallions, but either way, there's a history of it. Oh, he was? Okay, there's a history of it in the system. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that we saw him dressed up in a different disguise, you know what I'm saying, on a different game, like, it's just going to the extreme measures. It just lets you know how messed up the program was in the first place. Not in the very first place, but I'm just saying, like, in the last few years, the program really did suck, and they couldn't even pull themselves up by their bootstraps. I mean, But somehow they beat Ohio State. Somehow, that's the thing. And it's like, how can you not question that now? Because we were all so confused back then.
Well, not only that though, but I think they beat Ohio State, and then they beat teams that they literally got whooped by the previous season. Ohio State, like they barely beat Nebraska, I think, 2021, and that was also the year where they allegedly started their cheating. So again, the turnaround from some of these teams, it was way too quick. And Jim, you didn't get no 99-star freshman that turned the program around like this.
Right.
With your same roster, you blew out the same team out just like this with the same staff.
Yeah. And now their recruiting is going to be like, nobody's going to really want to be associated with a school that's known for cheating. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's at least a bad taste in anybody's mouth. So the program is in hot water, just like you said. And I don't necessarily know how they're going to get out of it, but it's tainted and it's tarnished and it's about to be stained for a very long time. So, I mean, all I have to say is of course we're looking forward to the game, but I think that Ohio State can go on with a different type of confidence right now. And I think that they psychologically need to become stronger mentally for this game. Not only is it a rivalry game, that's the main game they want them to win of each season, but you have to see with Michigan, what they're going through, it's difficult, man. And as a coach, he's trying to stay on a one-track mind. He said that, and I'm sure it's a challenge. You know what I'm saying? Left and right, things are getting revealed. People are getting fired. You know what I'm saying? And so, I think that's too bad for that team up north because I have no empathy or no sympathy for them whatsoever. What about you?
You have
Do you have any sympathy or empathy?
No sympathy in your turquoise blue.
Exactly. Well, that is pretty much it for today's episode, guys. So thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, we'll be back on Monday, same time. Actually, a little bit earlier, probably like 5:30. But make sure you follow us on all the socials: Instagram, Facebook. Follow Paris on Instagram, Facebook, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.